first knew I wanted to record music when I was about 13. I went to a audition for a TV show in the state of Virginia, and the TV show that I actually made part in was called Class Action. And at the end of the audition, they asked if we had any separate talents. Now, I was known for writing raps and doing little raps when I was in school. And even in elementary school, I've been, my first experience with rap, it just had me mesmerized. So I did a little rap at the end of the audition. The folks at the TV show created a whole nother character for the TV show and had me do a rap video. And that was when I wrote my very first professional song, went into the studio, my very first professional studio experience, and recorded that song. And from that moment on, I was mesmerized. I could not believe that people got actually paid to do music. So it'd be in the studio all day. That just kind of blew my mind. And from that moment on, I knew I wanted to do music and be a studio owner. Wow. Well, some of my first recordings I did for free, to be honest with you. I just wanted the experience. So I had an artist that I was kind of like managing a little bit, nothing formal. It was Smokey from Player's sister, Erica, and I did a lot of her early recordings while I was in college at the University of Louisville in my apartment. And it really allowed me to hone my skills and my craft until the point where I could start charging people for my services. My first paid session was only $7 an hour. And I always try to just grow incrementally. I went to $10, I went to $15, and to where I'm at now, with my prices and things. But my first recordings were, I would just say, my experience to get to the level of recording that I'm at now. My very first recording equipment that I purchased off a college scholarship, and the place that I worked, they also helped pay for school. So was a DigiDesign 002. And I made sure when I made that purchase, I could have bought just the interface itself, but I wanted to have that feel. So I bought the actual board with I think it was about 8 faders on it. And I wanted that board experience. Now, that was the first piece of equipment that I bought, but I did practice on a larger DigiDesign board when I was at school. Fortunately, I was able to get access to the studio that was at the bottom of the University of Louisville before any other student got access to that. That was one of the key components of their recruitment and ways that they recruited me. They told me that I was going to get access to a new professional studio. So seeing a huge DigiDesign board for the first time, obviously was outright kind of confusing, but I made sure that I took the time to study and knew what that was. Ooh, that's a tough question. Engineer-wise, I wouldn't say that there was an actual one-set engineer that I was following. I kept up with KY Engineering while he was growing. We was on the phone often. I was interested in how his experience was in Atlanta when he first moved. I know when he first moved, and I knew how he was doing each year to year before the Lil Wayne incident happened. Let's just say that. If you get to know KY Engineering, you'll find out how pivotal Lil Wayne was to his career. So I guess you could say I followed him in a sense, but as far as style and growth and development, I just kind of really made my own way. Probably one of the biggest influences in my sound that I do have is a guy by the name of Taylor Made. And he's out of Louisville, Kentucky, and he's with a crew up there called Unstoppable. He had went to a recording arts school, Full Sail, and he knew some tricks of the trade. So I got to sit in with him when I was running my studio in my apartment in Louisville, and I was recording his crew, and he showed me a few things. So I got to learn some from TaylorMade. Also, I have to give credit to my mentor while I was in college, one of the Marcellus brothers. And if you don't know who the Marcellus family is, you're missing out on a huge piece of jazz history, African-American jazz history. Wynton Marcellus is probably the best jazz trumpetist in the world. His brother, Delphia Marcellus, helped tutor me on Pro Tools as well. And I'll give one last shout out to Mason Embry. He was the first kid I knew that had recording studio equipment that I went to school with, that I got to go over to his house and tamper around with the Pro Tools and get familiar with the program. So shout out to Mason Embry, Delphia Marcellus, and TaylorMade, and KY Finest. I would describe the art of being an engineer as just like being an artist. You're a creator. You're a creative. I call people in this business creatives. You know, if you're just pushing buttons, you're not catching the soul or the heart or the pulse of the music. Like, I want to feel why I even added reverb to a certain section or compress a certain way or whatnot, or EQ'd a vocal a certain way. Every EQ is not the same on each track, you know. Yeah, you could go to a standard setting or a plug-in as a start or a place to begin, you know, especially in the recording phase. But when you're mixing or mastering a track, everything is going to be different for each individual vocal or each instrument that you're working on. So nobody's voice is the same. And even if it was the same person recording a song, they're never going to come in and say the same thing over the same way. When you're recording in Pro Tools, you'll see waves, and every time a person says a line, those waves are going to be different, even if it's just slightly. So that means the mix, it may be slightly different, you know, from even the first time somebody recorded a song. So you have to be an artist, you know, to be an engineer, if you ask me. And that's why, you know, you find that engineers won't give up some of their secrets or their trades. Or I have people questioning me about that all the time. So, you know, why can't I get your settings or how you did this or that? You know, I have my own style, and you just can't give that up. That's our intellectual property, and you could actually try to take us to court over it, and you'll lose every time, because the law protects our styles. You know, every engineer mixes a different way. Every engineer masters a different way, or even records a different way. So I have a unique brand, I have a unique style, and, you know, so far it's working. What made me decide to go public with my studio is the fact that my father's a minister, and I grew up watching him help people my whole life. And it's rewarding inside to be able to help other people accomplish and do their dreams, as well as, you know, working on some of your own personal goals and dreams. My inspiration is definitely to help people through music. So watching my father as a minister and how he went about things, I have a totally different mission. There is a rhyme and reason to everything that I do. And I feel like music is rehabilitating. You know, when I went to college and saw that they had music therapy classes, even though I didn't take, you know, music therapy classes per se, I talked to those students often, and I was kind of intrigued by their learning experience. You know, being that I was a music industry student, I wanted to still see exactly what they were going through. So I tried to talk to those students often, and I really realized how healing that music is. And I honestly believe that music can cause a revolution. So in my way of being a part of that revolution, I decided to take my studio public. The type of music I typically record on a daily basis is obviously hip hop and rap, but I've done all types of music. I've done Afrikaans. I've done even line dancing or country music, some folks would call it, but would be square dance calling would be the proper term for it. Being in Kentucky, you'll get a dose of that. So I've done rock, a little bit of jazz, but the main stable of my studio is hip hop and R&B, but mainly hip hop. There's an overabundance, I guess you could say, of trap rap at Fyre Entertainment, but that's just the way it is. You know, I feel comfortable with the streets, and the streets feel comfortable with me. So I love my guys that come in here. If I had my pick of anybody that I could choose to record on a daily basis or just period, or to have an experience with, it would be a voice like Beyonce or Mariah Carey. I'm just enamored by beautiful voices, and I would love to work with one of those artists that has a vocal range, because I hear a ton of harmony and melodies. And I would love to be able to put my spin on a vocalist that had like an endless range, because I believe that it would be ultimately sick. I am a dope vocal producer, not to toot my own horn, but I am. I went to school for music industry, but my instrument was voice. And, you know, I consider myself a pretty dope vocal producer. I hear tons of harmonies. And I would love to work with somebody like Mariah Carey or Beyonce with a endless vocal range, because I can only imagine the amount of notes and harmony notes that I could be able to place in their music. And I would love to know what that would sound like, having somebody that had an endless range with my, I guess you could say, endless range of hearing how things can gel together. So that would be a good dream of mine. Some of the struggles I deal with being a studio owner is obviously dealing with the clientele. Artists are very passionate people, and to be able to shoulder that passion pretty much 24 hours of the day, because artists will text you whenever something hits them. It doesn't matter if it's 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. They're rude. They don't care about business hours. And typically because they know you don't have business hours. Like, as a studio owner, your hours are everywhere. I'm like 24 hours pretty much into it. And that's a struggle in itself. Trying to find time for myself, trying to find time even for my family and my personal life, probably the benefit, and health. You know, making sure I try to stay healthy and go to the gym or whatever. Those are some of the struggles that I have, because people are pulling you in certain directions. Oh, I got a video shoot that I need to do today. You know, artists are last minute people. Oh, this song hit me, you know, and I want to get in the booth now, you know, to record. And, you know, you just woke up and they want to be in the booth right then at that moment. So you kind of feel like an on-call doctor. You know, even if you have your day scheduled and planned out, some things will still go awry. So that's definitely one of the difficult things, and always dealing with uncertainty of your daily events and plans, because you do need to have the ability to be able to adjust. But at the same time, you do have to try to make sure you take time to take care of yourself, your family, else you'll just go crazy. So it's a struggle, but you know, so far I've managed. I would advise, my advice for somebody that would want to open up a studio is to, number one, make sure you have the finances to do the job the way that your clientele and your customers want to see it done. Because if you don't have the capability to facilitate what the customer needs, you're going to find yourself in a very frustrating position, because your customers will constantly come back to you for, improvements or this or that. So make sure you're in the position, number one, educational wise and financially, to be able to handle the load. And another thing would be, make sure you're a patient person, because if you don't have patience, dealing with artists is going to absolutely drive you nuts. I'm a very patient person, and but at the same time, you do have to draw the line, and you do have to be firm. You also have to let artists know what lines they're able to cross, because obviously they'll cross all the lines if you let them. And you have to be able to put your foot down as well and say, no, I will not tolerate that, or else you can go somewhere else. And I'm one of those type of people. I'll put my foot down quick and be like, look, you can't bring that over here. If you're going to bring that over here, you need to find somewhere else to go. And I think people know that about me, and therefore if they want to work with me, they'll have to respect the way that I run my business or not do business with me. No love lost, doesn't hurt my feelings, but you have to be able to put your foot down at the same time as being patient with people and understanding. So it's kind of a very rare mix. Like, you have to still be able to listen to what the artist has to say, what their demands and their needs are, but at the same time, you still have to get out of your business what you need to make your business stay in business, number one, and then number two, grow. Because if you're just growing your own pockets but never the business, then you'll stay stagnant. I always, view towards, even before growing my own pockets, I'll grow my business first, because growing your business first in the long run, or overall, that will help your own personal financial growth in this business. So understand that you need to invest into your business to get what you really want out of your business. So that means you may have to be humble at first and not put the money into your own pocket, but right back into the business to be able to get what you need out of your business financially. It feels pretty good to not just have all the studio responsibilities on my own shoulders now. To be quite honest, when I started my business, I did have employees initially when I opened up my storefront. Now, obviously, when I was running my studio out of my apartments, it was just me, and I had some bad experiences. In Louisville, my doors got kicked in. And then when I was in Lexington, I could see the same trend about to start to happen. So I quickly shifted, got a storefront, and I had to initially keep my 9 to 5. And I did for a long time. Actually, I wouldn't have quit my 9 to 5 had my 9 to 5 done some illegal activities, but that's another story in itself. However, having the ability to be able to facilitate hiring people is rewarding. It feels great that I could hire somebody regardless of their background, or because I know them, and I could give people a chance or a shot at doing something that they would like or love to do. That is a very great thing, because I worked in HR for 10 years in a company, and there was tons of people that I wanted to hire at that company to give opportunity or a job to or a chance to, and was unable to because of their background check. And it could have been like a petty drug charge or something like that. In my mind, that was petty. but according to company policy, it wasn't petty with them. So it feels good now to be able to give people opportunity in my own establishment. I wish, and I hope to continue to grow, to be able to give more people opportunities. But that comes with the support that your community gives you. So as long as the community supports my business, I'll be able to grow. I would describe my growth here at Fyre Entertainment as phenomenal. I run a majority hip hop studio in Lexington, Kentucky, and the population size when I first started isn't what it is today. And to make it through that initial period, I started my business in the middle of the recession. It was advantageous to my contract negotiations with my landlord, but at the same time, you know, as far as your clientele and customer base having finances to be able to come in and support your business, it was really tough. I remember walking in the studio one day to record a client. The client was right behind me and my lights was off. And so I had to call, you know, KU to come turn the lights on. You know, I remember that day like it was yesterday. Never want that day to happen again. I remember my account being overdrafted, you know, and having to call my mom and dad as a grown man to bail me out with funds and resources. I never want that day to happen again. I remember days eating Pop-Tarts, you know, so the growth has been phenomenal. My first sessions, you know, my first daily goal was like, if I could just make $50 a day. If I can get one person in every day, that was my initial goal. I just need one session a day, you know, and then it went to 2 sessions and then it went to 3 and it continues. So now I could say I'm blessed to be able to do some of the things that I've done. But, you know, over time, this business has grown incrementally. It's been a slow process, but at the same time, it's been on an incline and it's been a constant progression. And as long as it continues to progress, I will continue to progress the business right along with it and be able to offer to my clientele or my customer base more and more services, more and more opportunities. And at this point, it feels good to be able to say that I have a lot of things on the way that's popping up over my business. This past year, the transformation has been phenomenal. I can't wait to get some of the new things going, like my radio room up and available for my customers. Just to even have things like a vending machine now is great. So the growth has been phenomenal. Being a successful business owner, let me rephrase that. Being a successful Black business owner in my city, Lexington, Kentucky, feels great. Like I wear it like a badge of honor because I know in my shopping center, other than a barbershop and a beauty salon, you know, I'm the only other Black-owned business over here. And to be here for almost 10 years, when the first week that I opened up, a lady walked up to me and said, "You got that spot?" She said, I wanted that spot to put her beauty salon in. She was a beautician. She said, what are you doing out of that spot? And I told her, I said, it was, you know, I'm running an entertainment studio. She said, "Oh, you won't last long." Fuel in my fire. Huge fuel in my fire. I know what every inch of that lady looks like. I can describe her to a T. And that replays in my mind over and over and over again. As well as I had an artist come in and he was going to another studio. And not like it has any bearing, but you know, it was some white gentlemen. And they told this African-American artist that my studio was just fly by night. It was going to be up today and gone tomorrow. Then even my own people, and that was kind of, you know, alarming to me as well, that my own people said that it wasn't going to work. So a lot of fuel in the fire, and it feels great to say that I'm having success in doing what I'm doing. The future of recording is kind of crazy. You know, I think a lot of people are, the price of equipment is going down. So a lot of people are buying equipment right now and trying to record themselves. But at the same time, I think a lot of artists understand to have that interaction, that relationship with an engineer, and not only an engineer, but a person that's behind the boards that can help them find things that they wouldn't have heard themselves. I think a lot of artists still understand the importance of that. So in that regard, I don't think recording will die. All right, where I go from here is telling you guys my business plan. But to be honest, I plan to start a label that's facilitated by artists themselves. So the support from the studio will generate the funds that will allow me to be able to give people record deals. And that's the future of recording at Fyre Entertainment.